Okay, this is going to be a tutorial for how to get the augmented reality demo app up and running. Kind of a repeat of what we did today in class, and hopefully you'll be able to pause it and look and see what I'm doing so you can follow along at home. Also, hopefully won't run into any of the glitches that we had at the end of class today. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to have Unity installed. Unity can be downloaded from the internet for free. It's a link to what we are, a link to that is online. I'll bring it up. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so here's the Unity website, and you would go here to download it, and you should be able to download Unity 4.3.4. Okay. The other thing that you're going to need to download is you're going to need to download the Vuforia AR extension. This link is also in our tutorial in our class webpage. You're looking for extension 2.89 for Android and iOS. Okay? So you need to follow the instructions here for how to install the extension, and we're going to be walking through, here's the instructions for how to install it. Basically, you download it, you extract a copy of it, and then you import it and restart. It's pretty straightforward. We're also going to be following these instructions in order to make a basic AR app, but there's a couple things that aren't in these instructions and that we want to do in order to make sure that it's a kind of a high quality augmented reality app. We also want to export it to an Android project so that in the future we can take the code that Vuforia outputs and we can hack it to add our own hooks so that we can do location-based gaming if we can make it work. So we'll see if we can do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to move these windows out of the way, and I'm going to bring up Unity, and we're going to start a new project here. And you can see that it wants to know a file name. And the main thing is after you have installed Vuforia, you're going to have the option to install, automatically include it into your project when you start a new project. So we'll do that. We'll go ahead and I'll reinstall that live so you can see me doing it. Okay, so Vuforia, create the project, go. Okay, we're up. There we go. And so what we need to do is we need to replace the standard camera that Unity has, and we need to do that by first deleting the camera that's already there and then going down here to the Qualcomm augmented reality assets. This is part of Vuforia, and this should be something that showed up after you installed the Vuforia plugin. We want to go to the prefabs folder, select that, see what we get here. We want to replace that camera with our augmented reality camera. That's the code that's going to connect our camera's position and our camera's viewfinder to the camera in the Unity world. The other thing we need to do is we need to have an image target. This is going to hold our marker or our target that the camera is going to recognize so that it can then put the content relative to that marker. Okay, in class I showed you how to go to the Target Online Vuforia Target Manager. Let's do that again now. Vuforia Target Manager. You have to have an account to log in. And again, what this website does is when you upload a bitmap, for example, this picture of a $10 bill, it takes that bitmap and it compiles it into a set of mathematical features, which it wraps into a bit of code, and then allows you to download, and it's all packaged nicely so that it works correctly in Unity. So I've already uploaded the zebra, which we used in the package that I showed you in the demo in class today, and we're going to try and use the $10 bill today for our demo. I'm going to get rid of the zebra from this selection, and I'm going to download the selected targets. I want it as a Unity editor version, and we'll call it Hamilton Unity package. Create. Should take a second, and then it should download. Okay, it's downloaded. All right, so I'm going to move this window out of the way and go back to Unity. Now, that asset that I downloaded, it's on my hard drive, but it's not known to Unity, so I'm going to incorporate it by importing a new package, custom package. Go to my downloads, where I should see my Hamilton tutorial Unity package. Open it up. I get an import window where I can see some of the details here. I'm going to go ahead and import it. All right, and it's going to get imported into the resources that the Vuforia plugin has access to. So now I'm going to select my image target. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, okay, the image target behavior, what I want this app to do when it sees the target, the behavior that I want it to execute when it sees this image target depends on which image it sees, and I want to set it to be the Hamilton, okay, the $10 bill. All right, that gives me a reference point for content in the game. Now, once I've added those two things, I need to go back to my camera and make sure that at the beginning of the application that we actually load that data set and activate it. All right, so that should be all that's necessary in order to get a basic augmented reality app running. What I want to do now, though, is I want to put some content into this world so that we actually have something worth seeing. This is a big kind of a drawing area for Unity. It sounded like most of you guys were familiar with it. All right, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to put a car in the back of there. So I'm going to go to my assets store, which is an online repository of models that are available for people to import into Unity. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. I'm looking for a 3D model. I wanted a vehicle. I want a land vehicle, and I liked this car. So I'm going to pick out this car, and I'm going to import it. It's going to ask me to log in if I'm not already logged in, which I am. And we're going to import the content. And move that out of the way. If we look down here, we should see, oh, here it is. There's our car. Okay, so I'm going to take our car. Where are we, prefab? Take our car, I'm going to drop it into my hierarchy of objects. I'm going to make it a child of the image target so that it moves relative to the image target. And it is way too big, it's scaled too large. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the scaling. I'm going to do a 3-axis scale by grabbing the gray box and shrinking it down. That's pretty good, I guess. And then I also, when I want it to show up, I want it to show up slightly behind the dollar bill. So I can manually rotate it using the rotating knobs, or you can do it precisely over here. With number entry. Okay, that's going to make the car show up directly on top of the $10 bill. And it's there. That looks pretty good. All right, and then the only other thing I need to do to make a basic working version is to add some lights. So to add some lights, I'm going to go up to Game Object, I'm going to create other directional light. That's going to make a light in my scene, and then I want to move it so that it's in a good spot to light my scene, which is where, I'm not sure. So I guess I kind of want it in front, and I would like to have it rotated so it's pointing at the car. And we're going to make sure it's working. I need to look at it from a couple of different orientations. Slide it up over here. Okay, let's see. Let's rotate it so it's pointing at the car. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that should be pretty good. So what we're going to do is, just to test it out, we're going to run it with the webcam, and let's see, so to do that we're going to just hit play and see if we can get this to work. Now, this may mess up with respect to the fact that I'm recording from the camera right now. Oh, I got 2 cameras running. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so here is $10 bill, and you can see that I've got the car operating on it. Works pretty well. Take a look at the car from all directions. It's real nice. I'll do it upside down. Yeah. Once it gets tracking, it's able to hold tracking better than when you initially get it. All right, good. So that shows that it works. And now what I want to do is I want to move it to an Android object. Let's put it on Android. Okay, to put it on Android, we need to do, so let me pause here and say one thing. In my zebra example, I had to add one additional element in order to make this work. And I guess we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and show you what that is right now. And that is a invisible polygon that we're going to put into our scene that will make it look like our marker is actually in the scene. And I'll show you what the problem is here before we export to Android. All right, let's go back to our model. Let's look at it from above. What we're going to do is we're going to change the orientation of the car so that rather than laying on top of the bill, what we're going to do is we're going to have it lying right in the middle of the bill and have the bill vertically appear through it. So let's see, let's come here, and what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the car, select the car, and we're going to just rotate it 90 degrees around the z-axis. Keep its position at 0, 0, 0. All right, so now the effect is that when, here, let's move it down a little bit too. Now this isn't, this doesn't seem like something that makes a lot of sense, but it's to prove a point about how the augmented reality is working. You can see that the dollar bill is cut right through the middle of the car. All right. Trying to get a good perspective on it here. Okay. So now when we run it, we have this problem. Take my $10 bill and I hold it up to the camera, and we know that the bill is registered, or the way that the drawing is being done is that it's being registered and then the car is being drawn as if it's centered on the bill. But because the picture of the bill is just in the background, you get this really uncomfortable or incorrect rendering of the car, because the bill isn't actually splitting the car, because the bill's not being drawn by the Unity engine. The bill's only being recognized and nothing about the bill is being drawn. So what we need to do is we need to create a polygon in our world where the bill is, and then not allow anything behind that invisible polygon to be drawn, so that the video from the $10 bill shows up in the right spot. All right, so you see that weird effect? Okay, so what we're going to do to make that happen is we're going to create something new. We're going to create a new plane, and we are going to try and get it as much as possible to match, by scaling it, to match our $10 bill. So we're going to need to move it so it lines up. Okay. We're going to need to scale it so it matches at least a little bit in the beginning. scaling. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay. Now, I'm going to save our scene so all this work doesn't get wasted. And I'm going to save the project. Yep. Oh, okay. Thanks. I'm recording the tutorial.
Oh, sorry.
Marcel says hi.
Hello. This was a photo class.
Yeah. Okay, so then we need to take our plane, make sure it's a child of the image target, which it is now, and then we need to assign to it a particular texture. And this texture is a kind of a hack. It is a clear texture, but which nonetheless prevents the rendering engine from drawing anything behind it. So if you have the camera view in the background, it's only going to let the camera view show through. So let me show you what happens here. So we're going to go to all of our materials. We're going to take our depth mask material, and we're going to color our plane with the depth mask material. All right, so our plane still is there, but it only is functioning as a depth mask. And so now, when we run our model, the car shows up, and the car is split. You can see how the car is split by the plane, which is being drawn at the same place where that $10 bill is being recognized. And you can see when I tilt it up that it's a little too long. So I'm going to try and, it's a little too long, but it's okay. You can see that it extends too far off the bottom of the $10 bill, but that's pretty good. And what that does is that makes it gives you the impression that the $10 bill is actually splitting the car instead of what we had before, where the $10 bill wasn't even there. Okay. All right, so let's pause it. And I don't know, let's add a few more things to it. And then we'll put it on the phone. So let's see, I would like to add, I want to find something fun from the asset store. Let's take it here. I want to find a building. I want a environment. I want a industrial environment. I would like to see, let's see, something free. A modern concrete building. Let's put it on a city block. Gotta log in. Gotta use the right password. And let's drag it into our scene. And we're waiting for an import window to show up. Oh no. Is Unity crashing on me? No, good. Great. There we go. Wait for all these assets to be imported. It's importing the 3D models, the textures, the lighting, and possibly some animations, but we're not going to add those right now. Or maybe we'll add one particle filter for fun. And we're waiting. While we're waiting, I'm going to get out the phone and I'm going to attach it to the computer. Oh, looks like we are logged in where we have our assets. And my phone is connected. Let's move the asset store away. Oh, I'm still thinking. I'm still importing assets. Okay. Okay, maybe we're done importing. Maybe we're still please waiting. Oh, nope, looks like we're good. All right, now here's the thing. We have to think about how we want this to work when the $10 bill shows up. And the way I want it to work is I actually want the $10 bill to be flat. And then I want the $10 bill to be parallel to the city street. So I'm going to first adjust that back with our car. So meanwhile, back in our car, I want it to kind of look like this. And I want the car to be centered on the $10 bill. Great. Great. And then I want to add our city on top of it. All right. I'm not sure which one's the better one. There's a city block. And there's another city block, let's try this one. All right, here's our city block. And let's move it so that it's not blocking our car. Oops, sorry. All right, let's scale it so it's about the right size for our car. Let's see. Let's move it. All right, actually, maybe we'll put the car in the middle, parked kind of here, so that we can look around the model when we have it. All right, so what do we got? Okay. All right, it's a pretty elaborate model. We can test it. Here, let's save it. And then let's test it in the camera, make sure it's working. All right. And we get a pretty elaborate city scene. I'm controlling the dollar bill. Okay, let's see. I think because the dollar bill ends up being so small, I'm going to shrink everything a little bit so that we can get more control over it without the world disappearing. So let's take the car and the city block, and let's stop playing, and let's do some scaling. Let's scale it down quite a bit. Okay. And then let's line everything up again. Okay. And then there's the question of whether or not we want to be able to see the $10 bill. And I think I kind of do want to see the $10 bill. So I'm going to lower the model just a little bit so it looks like the car's parked on the $10 bill. Save it and play. See how we do. Still can't see that $10 bill. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, so there you can see very clearly how that polygon is a little bit too big for our city street, but that's probably going to be all right. You can see that when the dollar bill is there, it shines through a little bit, and you can mess around with it if you want to by manually adjusting the scale. For example, here if I do 0.3, oops, 0.3, and then 0.2. I don't know if that's working. 0.1. That's not doing what I want to do. Back 0.3. What is that doing? Oh, that's scaling my city block. That's not what I want. What I want is I want to select the plane, and then I want to scale the plane. So let's try 0.4. That's too big. 0.48. 0.04. There we go. See, I shrunk it down a little bit. Let's try 0.38. That's pretty good. I think that's about as good as we're going to get it. So we got a $10 bill, we got the world, I like it. It's pretty good scale in terms of the way things go. All right, we're going to save it. We're going to save it, and now we're going to output it to our Android project. All right, so how are we going to do that? Well, save our scene. Now what we want to do is we want to go to our build settings. All right, our build settings is a window here. We are going to output our Android. We don't want to go directly to the Android phone. What we want to do is we want to make an Android project, and we need to set up some settings for that to make sure it's going to work okay. So this is when the Unity outputs the project, the kind of settings that's going to put into it. This is akin to what happens when you do the wizard in the new Android project dialog, but if you do it in Android instead, in Unity instead. So here, let's give us a company name. We're going to be the $10 car. And company name $10 car, product name tutorial, that's good. We want Android to manage all of the rotations, so that's all good. I don't care about the icon right now. Splash image is about whether or not it says it's Unity that's driving it. We don't have a choice unless we pay for Unity. Other rendering concerns, we want to change our bundle identifier to edu. Something that's appropriate. I'm going to do ICS lucy.ics163. It's a reverse domain name. Bundle version 1, that's for our code. We want to target the highest level of Android's API that we can with our phone. Device filter, I don't think any of this other stuff needs to be addressed. Publisher settings, we'll use an existing key store. That's the signature that validates that the app is from validates that the app is coming from someone who has a key to validate it in its trust store. That's all good. So now we're going to export that. Like last time, I need to make sure I know where I'm putting it. So we're going to go ahead and make a new folder, call it tutorial Android. Choose that. Okay, in class I had some problems when I built this project, and so we're going to wait for it to finish exporting. While it's doing that, I'm going to fire up Eclipse. All right, and because I had these problems last time, I'm going to create a brand new workspace just to make sure that I don't have trouble with something conflicting within my previous project space. So I'm doing everything in my downloads. folder here. I'm going to make a new folder called Tutorial Workspace. Okay, I'm going to open that. Oh, sorry, that was off. That wasn't being recorded. Sorry about that. Okay. Great. All right, here is our Android environment, but Unity is not quite done exporting, so we just need to wait for Unity to finish exporting. It's a big model, so there's a lot of assets and resources that it's going to be putting in there. And we're just waiting. I'm not quite sure how we're going to record what's going on the phone. So while we're waiting for that, I'm also going to fire up our screen reflector. Droid at screen. Okay. And it's not recognizing that there's a device attached. Oh, well, let's see what we're going to do about that. Let's restart ADB. Hopefully that's not going to break Eclipse. Or it tries to restart the ADB server. Unplug your device first. Maybe we'll just let this be till we get our project running in Eclipse. Move it off to the side. All right, feverishly exporting. And I realized that in my export stage I didn't actually include the scene in the build. So let's see if it was smart enough to actually include the scene in the build. By that I mean that when you look here, there should be a scene in your build, otherwise you're not going to have anything to show. So, well, let's just see what happens here. I'll go ahead and close that. All right, and are we done? I think so. So let's shift over to Eclipse, and let's import our project that we just exported. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything got... Oh, there it is. Good. Whew. Tutorial Android. So Tutorial Android is where it got exported by Unity, and Tutorial Workspace is where Eclipse is working. So I'm going to import project. Great. Okay. There's our project built. And down here we see we're building it. Looks good. And let's try and run it on the phone and see what happens. Oh, didn't recognize that the phone was there. There we go. So let's start an emulator. Let's get rid of that. And let's detached our phone. And we're going to plug our phone back in. That explains why Droid at screen didn't see it. Droid at screen now actually sees the phone. That's great. That's a reflection of what's on our phone. Great. All right, so now let's try running it again. All right, it's launching Unity. I've got good video showing the messy desk. And then when I throw $10 bill down, here we go, nice. We get the whole city. I've rotated the phone sideways, so let's see if we can, how does this work? Okay, let's not rotate the phone sideways. All right, so it's not very responsive in that screen capture, but it's pretty impressive when you look at it here in real time. Let me see if I can get the camera to show you what I'm looking at in real time rather than Droid at view. Okay, let's see. All right, there's the city. You can see you can zoom in, look at the car, come back out, you can rotate, and you can kind of look around your city. As long as the $10 bill is in the view of the phone, you can kind of look down the alley. Ooh, can I get this? Look down the alley, and you can travel down the alley. See the other side of the car. Oh, kind of broke. All right, but that was pretty cool. Back out and get tracking again. And go up high like a helicopter. Bring it down again. And of course, it's all registering on that $10 bill. Okay. Come around the front. Back up. There's our car. Okay. Okay, so that's super fun. We got it running, and now let's just take a look at the code real quick. You can see that what we did here is we generated all the code that we had before in our GPS, at least those of us who got it working. You can see on create, on destroy, on pause, on resume, but it's also referencing a bunch of resources and assets in here. For example, some binary native assets that we weren't able to create. So going forward, what we're going to try and do, is we're going to try and connect this Android application to the Unity program so that we can dynamically create content in response to what's going on in the real world. Not sure we're going to get there, but we'll give it our best shot. All right, so what we've looked at here today is a tutorial on how to generate an augmented reality application using Unity and Vuforia, putting those pieces together, exporting it to an Android code project, importing that code project into Eclipse, and then executing it. So we had a neat little augmented reality application. Thanks for your attention. Good luck.